and I'm sure that like we're gonna have the exciting sections. We're gonna have like some audience join online and some join offline as well. For now, tea and coffee is available outside. So if you decide just like wanna grab a cup of coffee before we start, please feel free. And then we're gonna start in 10 minutes time. And thank you for joining us today. This event's gonna be in hybrid mode, which is we have got some audience join us online and some in person. We had tea and coffee outside, so in case that you would like to grab a cup of coffee before we start, please be our guest. Thank you. Right, me again. So I'm just gonna keep repeating this one. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We're gonna have some guests join us online and also some in person as well. And I'm sure that like people are coming up right now. So we're gonna start in 5 minutes sharp. We had a tea and coffee outside, and also like water as well for sure. So please be our guest if you want to grab a cup of coffee or tea or water as well before we actually start in 5 minutes time. And in the meantime, to just text Nathan, are you with us now?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Cool. Yes, we can hear you very loud and clear. Yeah, we just
Fantastic.
yeah. Okay, in 5 minutes. Thank you. Right. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is Laura from AWS Amazon Web Service. Together today with AWS Startup Team, we have Techie Story, We Build, and the event will be broadcasting by QuickCom. This event is going to be in hybrid mode, in which we had a guest speaker joining us from San Francisco, Israel, and also speaker will join us at the event today. For the participants, if you are at the event, we kindly ask you to put your phone in silent mode and feel free to send the question to our speaker via the QR code, which is you're gonna see in 2 slides from now. For those that join online, kindly keep yourself muted and send out the question if you have any via the conference link. And the event is going to be in English, but since I have some Vietnamese guests here, so allow me to spend 2 minutes speak Vietnamese. Cảm ơn rất là Laura, cảm ơn các anh chị đã dành thời gian tham dự buổi ngày hôm nay cùng với các AWS. Sự kiện này thì được host toàn bộ bởi team AWS, Techie Story, We Build và được broadcast trên QuickCom. Sự kiện ngày hôm nay thì sẽ diễn ra ở trong hình thức là hybrid, có nghĩa là sẽ có diễn ra ở chơi online và tại event, đồng thời thì cũng sẽ có người tham dự online và tại sự kiện. Nếu các anh chị đang ở sự kiện thì vui lòng tắt chuông điện thoại. Lát nữa chúng ta sẽ có mã QR code nếu mà trong trường hợp các bạn muốn đặt câu hỏi cho diễn giả. Còn nếu với các bạn nào mà join qua Zoom thì vui lòng tắt tiếng và đồng thời có thể gửi câu hỏi của mình qua phần chat. Vui lòng ổn định chỗ ngồi và sau đó thì chúng ta sẽ có thể bắt đầu start. So yeah, the time has come, and as mentioned with you, for the event today, we're going to use English, and it's going to be hybrid mode. For the agenda of the events, as you can see quickly here, so we're gonna have 2 speakers from Stability AI and AI 21 Lab to start off. After that, we're gonna have a short section of Q&A why the tea break happens. After the tea break, we're gonna hear the sharing from Nguyen, the founder of Ather Labs, and Girish, the head of tech from Amazon Web Service ASEAN. So we're gonna have the fireside chat at the end of the section where you can ask more questions to our speaker. And I won't let you wait any longer. We're gonna welcome all of our guests and start with Nathan's Chief of Staff from Stability AI, the leading player in generative AI space. And allow me to quote the goal of Stability AI here. Nathan, correct me if I'm wrong. Our goal is to maximize the accessibility of modern AI to inspire global creativity and innovation. Since launching our AI initiative in 2021, we have amassed a community of more than 200,000 creators, developers, researchers, as well as 7 research hubs spread across the world. How does it sound, Nathan? Is that your goal? And
hey, Laura, thank you. That's an incredible job.
Thank you. I basically asked AI. So now the stage is yours, and please share your screen and start. And for anyone, if you have any question and you want to send to our speaker, feel free to scan the QR code and put a question. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura, for the fantastic introduction. If someone can enable participant screen sharing, there we go. Perfect. Okay. Let's see. Can we see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen now.
Awesome. So once again, thank you for the fantastic introduction. I'm Nathan with Stability AI. I am sorry, but I forgot to wear my astronaut helmet today. So just the regular button up. Here we go. So as Laura mentioned, Stability is an open source generative AI foundation model company. We are best known for stable diffusion, and we rose to popularity with that model thanks to the fact that we open sourced it, meaning that we let anyone download the weights and build on top of it. And because it's a small model, it was able to be used by thousands and thousands of developers. And so developers have built, thousands of open source projects using Stable Diffusion as the engine that powers all sorts of creative apps, design apps, and image generation apps. Our focus is to make small, nimble models that are easily usable and affordable to run. And we were the first model provider that created an AI model that Apple integrated into its M1 chip. So we're designed for the edge, which means these models don't have to run on incredibly expensive GPUs. They can actually run on consumer hardware as well. Another big benefit to open source is that your private data remains private and secure within your environment, on your laptop, within your virtual private cloud. And if you decide to customize an open source model, you get to keep it. And it's your model and it's your weights. And so we think that open source is incredibly important, not just for generative AI, but we already know that most of the world runs on open source technology. So 100% of the fastest supercomputers use Linux or a Unix-based operating system because it's open source. It has a huge community of support and developers and adoption. And so when there are security concerns, they get patched very, very quickly. And when people want to make modifications to the software, they can do so at their free will. And if they want to make a large change, they can create their own new branch. And so just like open source software powers most of the mission critical and essential services that proprietary apps are built on, we think that open source generative AI models are also going to power a whole lot of infrastructure. So we are a multimodal generative AI company. So we don't just make large language models, and we don't just make generative image models. We're actually working on models for every single different modality. So we're best known for Stable Diffusion. And I've highlighted in yellow the models that we are best known for and that are already released today. But we're actually working on models for language, code, 3D, audio, and video. And we're even doing some cutting edge research into different biosciences as well. Stable Diffusion 2.0 and 2.1 were released earlier this year, and they're some of the most commonly used Stable Diffusion models today. But we released Stable Diffusion XL quite recently inside of Amazon Jumpstart. And so that's one thing that I'm excited to share a little bit more about today. We also have a stable language model called Stable LM. We are still training that behind the scenes, and we hope to have a stable chat version as well as a stable code version within the next couple of months. We will also be releasing an improved version of our stable language model in the next month, I believe. Our 3D models are actually built on top of Stable Diffusion, and some of the video work that we're doing is also derived from Stable Diffusion. One of the really common questions we get is, how do I know which model of yours to pick for which task? And I think this is actually a pretty simple, straightforward question when it comes to the image models. Each time that we release an image model, our goal is to improve it. And so just like most operating systems, when they get a new version, that's the better and more supported version. The same thing is pretty much true for Stable Diffusion models. So we released 1.x, so whether it be 1.4, 1.5, 1.6. We released those as an academic release, and we no longer maintain or support those. 2.0 versions, so 2.0 and 2.1, these are supported versions by Stability, but the past 3 months, we've been putting all of our focus into Stable Diffusion XL, and we usually abbreviate this as the XL. This is our most optimal, most powerful, state-of-the-art, enterprise-ready model for text to image and image to image, as well as in painting. Some of you might have heard about Deep Void. This is a recent release of ours. It's not focused on commercial yet, and it uses a different architecture. We have a whole team that worked on this, but it's not our recommended model for most use cases. For the most part, we would recommend you just go with the most up-to-date stable XL model. This is a little bit more about the model that we're most excited about, and it's available in SageMaker Jumpstart today. It is 2.4 billion parameters, which you don't need to really worry about what that means. It's just about 3 times bigger than the last model, which normally means it's a lot more expensive to run. However, we've worked on inference and optimizations, and so we actually have this model running at the same cost as Stable Diffusion 2. It's a lot easier to use. Really short prompts work incredibly well, and the image composition is really, really good. You can see some of the pictures on the right. These are only a few words or a sentence instead of really long prompts. And we have a bunch of built-in styles that really, really help bring out high-quality images without doing very much work. We're really excited to have these models running in Amazon SageMaker. This is because we think that the guarantees in the kind of enterprise and startup grade security and privacy and control that you get with SageMaker are a perfect fit for our language and image models. We're really excited that you can easily deploy these models inside of your VPC and inside of your own Amazon account. And you can count on AWS's extremely high quality and robust servers, architectures, and 99.95% SLAs. I'm also really excited to say that the AWS solution architects are some of the best I've ever worked with, and they have a really strong grasp of generative AI. And we've done some incredible 3-way engagements with them where we've helped build some proof of concepts that have been top notch. So there's 3 easy ways to get started with Stable Diffusion XL. The first is inside of SageMaker Studio. If you're familiar with Studio, there's a foundation models kind of hub there, and you can search for models. The other way is through notebooks, which we have the screenshot here is from our SageMaker notebook, which helps you walk through the different APIs that you get when you deploy Stable Diffusion XL. And then there's also a QR code right here. If you scan it, you'll land right on that notebook. And that was actually generated with Stable Diffusion and ControlNet. So this is an example of the type of app that you can build really quickly with Stable Diffusion, plus some of the open source contributions like ControlNet. This is a really quick video that just sort of walks through what it's like to deploy from Marketplace, which you can do so easily today. Marketplace is one of the ways that you can find our foundation models. Because they're open source, it doesn't cost anything to run on top of the instance cost. So it's free to run, you just have to pay for the underlying infrastructure. Right now, this runs on a G5 XL, which is usually about $1 an hour, which very, very affordable. That means that, as I'll show in a second, It costs a tiny fraction of a penny per image if you're running this 24/7. That's a little sneak peek at what the Jumpstart notebook looks like that you can go play around with today. So in comparison to some of the other generative image models, Stable Diffusion is by far the most cost effective. So it takes about 2.6 seconds to generate one image running on a ML G5 extra large. So that's the machine learning instance that I mentioned earlier. You can make this run a lot faster if you pay for a more expensive instance. But if you want to go the most cost-effective route, you can generate it every 2.6 seconds for 0.0007 cents, US dollar cents. In comparison to OpenAI, if you want to use DALL-E, you're going to look at about 10 seconds per image, and it's going to be almost 2 cents per image. So we're about 25 times cheaper than that. That is assuming that you're running the G5 XL kind of constantly. So if you take big pauses and you don't generate images, you will start to have that number increase if you're not using the instance. There's three big categories or verticals that we are most focused on when we say, the use cases or the industries that are easily impacted or enhanced with Stable Diffusion. The first is media and entertainment. So as you can imagine, almost every single media use case can be enhanced or augmented with Stable Diffusion. So whether that be generating new stock photos, reimagining existing photos, or iterating through lots and lots of different creative ideas very, very quickly. I think just using your creativity, you can think of kind of dozens of different use cases where this would be very helpful. It's also a really great integration into existing apps. So anywhere that there's a lot of text, it's easy to automatically generate images to accompany that text without ever having to create them yourself. And that is one of the most common misconceptions or areas of curiosity and concern that I hear when I talk to people about generative AI. They think that AI models are confusing and complex and that they're black boxes. And although we may not know 100% what goes on inside of these models, at the end of the day, it's very easy to use these with regular APIs. So with a couple lines of code, all you have to do is hit the Stable Diffusion API from your SageMaker instance, and you can kind of integrate generative AI into any application. The second large vertical that we think is a really great fit for Stable Diffusion is marketing and advertisement. This is one of thousands of different examples of the ways that generative AI can enhance and augment creative aspects of marketing when you're iterating through ideas of how to personalize or reimagine different concepts. You can think of cases where you might want to have an advertisement that's customized for every single user, or you might have a brand asset like a logo that you want to customize for different occasions or different situations. And so just like with the creative side of things, the ability to iterate rapidly through this type of content production and integration and personalization is really, really impactful for different companies and startups within advertising. The third really easy industry to apply this technology to is video games. Textures and skins for in-game assets and textures and backgrounds and landscapes is a really, really interesting use case that we've already seen a couple startups build whole products around. And when you have user-generated content, you can allow your users to tap into generative AI and customize things until they like it. So if you have avatars or weapons or skins or textures, you can allow the user to continue to generate items until they like one, and you can then use that data to further improve your model. We have a lot that we're going to be releasing soon. So I think paying attention to our new releases is going to be a lot of fun over the next end of this month and the next month. This is a little sample of what we're releasing. We're going to have some deep learning containers that are focused on machine learning experts who want to build, on top of our models from inside of a enterprise grade container. We're adding multilingual support for Stable Diffusion so that all sorts of different languages, I think over 20 different languages, 18 different languages are now going to be supported natively. We're going to be releasing a more cinematic version of Stable Diffusion XL. And then what I'm most excited about is the not yet released version of Stable Diffusion, which we'll be calling SDXL Beta 1.0. We're hoping to release that in early July. The target date is July 7th. Also coming in Q3, we've got the ability to fine-tune a model. So upload your personal brand assets and you can tune the model so that it creates outputs that match your style or aesthetic. Controllable networks, that's how I created the QR code from earlier. This allows you to keep certain assets intact. And so if you have an actor or a product and you want to change everything except for that one asset, you can easily do that without ever, manipulating your brand asset or your person. But you can transport them to different locations. You can target different demographics. Once again, almost limitless possibilities here. Stable chat is coming in Q3. We are very excited about this, but it's not available today. I think this is going to be very exciting when it's released because it'll be a small, affordable model that you'll be able to run inside of an instance that you control, and you won't have to risk any IP security issues. It will integrate inside of your stack. And because it's going to be a small, lightweight model, it's not only going to be cheaper to run, but it will be a lot faster to run. And you'll be able to customize it to whatever use cases are most important to you. If you're familiar with Stable Diffusion, this is a little sneak peek at the next version that we will have coming out in Jumpstart, hopefully July 7th. If you've used Stable Diffusion before, you know that it can generate really high quality outputs, but sometimes it's a bit difficult to get exactly what you want. And so this is a very challenging prompt that says, I want 3 robots that are side by side. The left one should be green, the center robot is blue, and the right robot is red. And this is the first 3 outputs of the model ever. So a lot of times these are cherry picked. These are the seed 0, 1, and 2 for the model. And so I think this is a remarkable improvement over any other generative image model that's been released by anybody. And we're very, very excited to be rolling this out into SageMaker in the next couple of weeks. This model is so incredible that it actually understands that the red square, when you capitalize it, is referring to a location in Russia. So this is 2 images, the first 2 that we generated with this model from the prompt a photograph of a blue cube, a red ball in the red square. So I think this is a little sneak peek at some of the incredible image models we'll be releasing on AWS. I just have a couple more images here just to kind of show you what this model will look like. This is just Tiger, cinematic. This is Night cinematic. And then this is Robin, just one word, Robin. And so I hope that was a little kind of sneak peek into what we have coming up and what we have available today. I think this stuff is incredibly easy to get started with, to play around with. It's a basic API, so it's very easy to learn. I think people who are basic developers or you don't have to be a machine learning engineer to be able to play around with this stuff almost immediately. And I hope that you'll let us know what you're excited to build. And I think the solution architects at AWS and the team at Stability would love to help you create some incredible startups, because there's lots and lots of companies that are building products today with nothing more than Stable Diffusion.
Awesome. Nathan, thank you for sharing with us. Would you be able to stay back with us a little bit for the Q&A, maybe after Nadav presentations?
Yeah, I'm going to do my best. It's a little late here, but I'll probably be up for a little bit longer. And so I'm happy to stay around and take some questions.
Yes, we're a bit greedy here. I know it's like 12 over there, and for everyone, he's based in San Francisco, and he still make up and then spend his time to share the presentation and stay back with us. So, a round of applause for Nathan. Right.
Thank you.
Awesome. Would it be possible for you to pass back the the host to Nadav?
Oh.
Next... Yeah.
Yep. 1 second. Forget how to do that.
Yeah, no problem. And for the next part, everyone, allow me to introduce our next speaker, Nadav from AI21 Lab, an AI lab and product company whose mission is to reimagine the way we read, write by making machine a thought partner to humans. Quoting from AI21 Lab missions, basically yesterday I just go around and search for missions. Our mission is to revolutionize reading and writing. Our application WordTune and WordTune Read already have millions of users every day. Nadav, that sound right to you?
Yeah, thanks for the intro, and good to see you again, Nathan. Great presentation as usual. Yeah, so let me see if I can share my screen. Not yet. Once I will. Okay. All right. So you can see my screen now, right?
Yes, we can see your screen now.
All right. So nice to meet you, everyone. My name is Nadav. I'm from the business team in AI21. Been in the company for the past year and a half. So had a lot of experience with working with large language models and implementing them with different clients. Pre-Gen AI revolution or earthquake of the past few months and in the post era. So would love to get your questions and hear your thoughts about this topic. And what we'll do today is we'll go through an overview of the company of AI21, our strategy, how we see this market, and then see a few demos of how you can actually implement this capability in real applications and the type of advantages or value that we see that you can derive from these models. So let's get going. So a bit about AI21. We were founded at the end of 2017. We head out to
Nadav, I'm so sorry for interrupting here. You know, the tech team behind is so excited and they decide to show everyone face instead of slide. So allow us like 10 seconds. We can get it back. Okay, it's back. It's back. Yeah, the stage is yours.
Yeah. I mean, you can watch me. It's fine. I can show everything.
I'm sure that's gonna be the case.
Okay, so started off at 2017. We're very focused on gaining more knowledge and expertise in the NLP domain. And the first thing we put in as a goal was to revolutionize the way we read and write using NLP, or in its more sexier term, Gen AI, as we are referring to it today. We were actually the first companies to use GPT-3 when it was in closed beta and built our first application on top of that. And since then, we did a lot of things. One of them was to create our own proprietary large language models, Jurassic, which I will describe a bit later. We have a very impressive executive team, founding team, Professor Amnon Shashua, who is also the founder of a company called Mobileye, an autonomous car company that was acquired by Intel and then went public again. I think today the market cap is about $30 billion. We have Professor Yoav Shoam, who was a professor in Stanford for AI for about 30 years, wrote the books that my friends study when they study AI in university, and sold 2 previous companies to Google. And Oli Goshen, who's also a seasoned entrepreneur, very impressive team with a lot of background in AI. And one of the things that Amnon likes to say, which I find interesting, is a person that did a lot of years in the visual AI. So if AI for visual is imitating the human eye, then generative AI for text is something that imitates the human brain or thoughts, which I think is a very interesting way to think about this. So as a company, we have 3 main pillars. Our first pillar is our core technology. So as I mentioned, we have a very R&D oriented company. Most of the company are still algo experts and engineers working on the forefront research in generative AI technology. We have our applications, which are called WordTune. These are applications that run on top of our large language models and provide a reading and writing assistant tools. We will see them in a bit as an example of how you can use our models. And then we have AI21 Studio, which is our developer platform where you can tap into our large language models and a set of other Gen AI capabilities to build your own applications on top of them. So as a company, we have a specific strategy. We think of the Gen AI market in 2 ways. There's the classic way, where you are aiming to build a better, bigger, more impressive large language model. And that is something that we are working on our Jurassic family large language models. But we're also understanding that using a GPT-4 or Jumbo, which is our biggest model as well, is super impressive and can get you very good results, but it's also very slow in reaction and can become very, very expensive. And so what we wanted to do is to take the amazing capabilities of large language models and make them smaller or more direct and create task-specific models, which are models that were trained specifically for a task that we see that is very common. So it's also easier to deploy, meaning you don't need to do any type of prompt engineering or any of these new complicated things. You just take the model and you put in text and get the text out on the other side without any need to do any kind of engineering. It's smaller in size, the infrastructure in the backend, so it's faster and it's much more affordable. And we see this as a more company enterprise-oriented strategy where you can build something that makes unit economics and user experience sense. A bit about AI21 and AWS. So we are one of the selected model providers that you can find either on Jumpstart and Bedrock. All our models are currently available on Jumpstart. On Bedrock, which is still in closed preview as far as I know, you can find some of our models. When we go to GA, you can find all of our models. All right, let's talk a bit about our foundation models. So we have 5 different models and 3 different sizes. So large, grande, and jumbo. Actually, we just changed the names. So I'll also mention the new names. Sorry for the confusion. Light, mid, and ultra. Large is light, grande is mid, and jumbo is ultra. We thought it might make more sense to people because these names weren't very indicative of what's behind them. And so basically, you have a model that is from 7 billion parameter to 178 billion parameter. And again, to allow you a variety of choice to choose the model that makes more sense for your use case. And we have 2 types of model, vanilla models and instruct models that can be used for different types of use cases. Helm is considered the most respected benchmark for evaluating models, at least these days. It's a evaluation done by Stanford, and you can see that our models here are in the top 10 and second in place after the Da Vinci models. What's really interesting here is that you see Grande, which is a very small model in comparison to the other models here on the list, and it does very well in quality. And again, this is something that we're very proud of because we understand that you would need something smaller, but in comparable quality to make applications. Our task-specific models, so you can see some of them. We have our paraphrasing model, we have our summarization model, we have a contextual answer model, a semantic search model, and other text editing models that are, again, super easy to deploy, very affordable, very fast. Just get your NLP capabilities in 2 clicks. Basically, that's the idea behind that. So this is just an overview of the solutions that we provide. So just to give you a taste of how we look at the task-specific model, so I wanted to indicate one of them, the summarization model. So we allow companies to tap into this model that allows you to either summarize a document by segments or summarize it to 1 paragraph. You can input either text, URL. On our SaaS platform, you can also input PDFs. On SageMaker, not yet. And you can also re-summarize the model or summarize the model for a specific topic. There are other exciting things coming along with summarization. So the ability to control length, the ability to have the model input other types of documents. So many things to come up, but basically trying to condense all the different summarizations into 1 endpoint. So, one other cool thing. So we took our summarization model and we have a white paper developed that we published on this, and you can see the comparison with OpenAI. And again, this is a smaller model, but it overperforms or outperforms the OpenAI models in compression and faithfulness. So very important to us to show that, again, you can take these models, these large models, compress them, fine-tune them on 1 specific task, and get them to perform as well or better in a specific capability. Okay. So now I want to show you a few demos so you can get an idea of what's actually possible with these models. So I'm moving, and you can see me moving between windows. Yes, great. So what you're seeing now is an application called Working Read. This is our reading assistant tool. And in the background, we have our summarization run. And what I want to do now is I'm uploading a Amazon financial report from the last year. It's, I think, like a 90-page report in PDF, uploading it here. And what you can see here on the right is the original 10K financial report. In blue is the places that the model identified as important and highlighted them. And here on the left, you can see the abstractive summarization. So this means the way me and you would summarize an original text and rewrite it to extract the real information or the real value from the original text. And the type of experience we created here is that you have the side-by-side experience where you can browse through the summarization and jump to the relevant part in the original article to see where the summarization was derived from. We thought this is very important to raise confidence for readers when using this capability. And again, or not again, I think it's an important point that you don't necessarily need to say there's a large language model here in the background, right? You are creating an experience that is run on top of large language models, but it's disconnected from the actual large language model. It's not in your face, which I think is really the next step when thinking about building companies on top of this technology. And the semantic search, which I mentioned, here you can summarize the document for a specific topic. So let's say artificial intelligence. Now the model will take this topic, find everything relevant in the original document for this topic, and summarize it here. And here you can see that the model recognized this paragraph, in the actual 10K talking about this topic specifically. Now, let's say that we're finished reading this report and we want to write something about it. So I'm moving to our WordTune editor, which runs our text editing models. So we have the rewrite, we have generative capabilities, which I'll show you. But I just took one of the paragraphs. We expect to invest in technology and content over time, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And so one thing I can do with this is I can rewrite this. So I can rewrite it either by sentence by sentence or by paragraph. I can choose a tone. I can expand this. I can shorten this, and I can even train the model for a specific type of tone that I can use, right? So this is one thing I can do here. And then I can also have the ability to generate more content. So let's say I want to add something more. I can just continue writing. So the model will just generate a sentence or a few sentences that make sense after what I already wrote. And I can also choose a specific type of continuation. I can ask the model to expand on a specific topic, to give an example, to define something, to give an analogy, to make a joke, and can also ask it to give a statistical fact. And if there's, and I haven't tried this before, so we'll see if it works for us, but if there's something that the model could identify as a relevant statistical fact here, then it will add it. So here you can see, according to UBS, the AI market will be worth 90 billion by 2025. And you can see that the model also added the URL or where the information was based from. And again, confidence, helping the users understand that what they are seeing is truthful. That is something that we find very important. And I actually didn't mention that, but part of the task-specific models that I showed before was to overcome some of the inherent weaknesses which we see with large language models, mainly the fact that they hallucinate, hard to keep them in context, and hallucinate means making up stuff. If you use large language models, you will see that happening pretty often. Okay, just so you can see here as well, you can also do the most basic thing, just generate a blog post about artificial intelligence and the future of work, right? So I can just do this and we'll get a full-blown text. We find this experience less useful because just going through this entire block of text can take the same time as writing it. And so we try to integrate the models as part of the user experience and have the human in the middle and not the machine in the middle. So that's another cool example. And again, everything you see here is available through our APIs. Our summarization model is being used by huge financial institutions like JP Morgan and Citibank and others. This application is used by a lot of companies, or these models, the paraphrasing model and generative text models are used by a lot of companies like Decathlon and Woolworth that are checking it for product description generation and so on and so forth. So a lot of companies that are interested in trying to use these capabilities to create something. All of these companies are basically in advanced pilots or in type of experimentation with the models. All right. Another thing I wanted to show you is the contextual answers model. This is another dedicated model that we developed, and it is aimed to answer question on huge, unstructured, corpus of data, right? So the main type of use case we see here are companies that have huge support documentations, have huge departments for answering questions, and they just want to expedite that, to have the ability to help their agents answer quicker. And so this model was developed where you can just dump in documents, start asking questions, and the model will only answer if the answer appears in the actual context. And if the answer isn't there, it will just say, I don't know. It will not deviate from context. And this is super important because large language models, as you know, are trained on a vast amount of data. They have a lot of general knowledge, and they might pull information from context that isn't in the actual context that was given. And so here I took this, it's hard to get to the tabs here with the zoom thing in the top. Can I move this? Let's see. Not really. Okay, so I just took this text from the Amazon return policies, and let's ask a question. I just dumped it here in this this window, and I can ask something like, how much time do I have to return pants? You can return clothing and accessories up to 30 days after the delivery date. And this is something that is taken directly from here. It's not necessarily extractive. It can also be abstractive, meaning the model can connect dots from different documents and create a new answer that is comprised of the different answers that we have in the context that is given. And if I ask something that isn't there, like who is Amazon's CEO, then hopefully the model will not answer, right? Answer is not in document, but the model knows this, right? If you ask the large language model, it will give you an answer. And if I just take the same thing, right, just throw it here in ChatGPT and ask it, don't answer if the answer isn't in the context above, right? And just say, who is Amazon's CEO? So the model gives you an answer, right? Now, you can probably do a better job in prompt engineering this. You might get a type of prompt that won't give you an answer, but if you try this in scale, you will get some of the times places that the model will actually generate an answer. So these are the demos I wanted to show you. I can go on and show some other cool stuff that companies are doing, but the main thing I wanted to emphasize here is, and I'll put the I-21 slide here in the background, is that large language models can do a lot of things. It's super important to think about the unit economics, and that is something that we are focusing on, trying to create a tool set of things, tool set of capabilities that you can use to build your applications. And also, I encourage startups and companies building stuff on top of this technology to think out of the ordinary type of thinking. Large language models don't necessarily need to come as a chat. They don't necessarily need to be in your face. They can be integrated as part of an experience, a frictionless experience where the user doesn't even need to know that the technology is in the background, and it's only one component, right? Building around it, adding other capabilities to complement the large language model as part of the application or feature that you're building is also super important. And yeah, that's what I had for you today.
Thank you so much, Nadav, for the presentation. It is a pretty cool demo, I have to say. Probably after today, don't be surprised you receive like 1,000 requests coming from Vietnam. And I think, like you say last time, right? You receive 1,000 requests from Vietnam, you and Nathan probably gonna make the trip to Vietnam, right? And the next section, you're gonna have it in person, right? Cool. So yes, thank you so much for that. And everyone, I have to say one of our speakers right now is at midnight in San Francisco. The other one just literally rescheduled his meeting so that he can make up the time for the section today. So can I just please get a round of applause for everyone? And of course, myself, MC. Yeah. So for the next part one, we're gonna, as mentioned, we have tea and coffee outside. Please feel free to help yourself with a cup of coffee and tea or water. And we also gonna have 10 minutes right now to have the Q&A with our speaker. So I already received some questions online, offline, but I wanna give the chance for the audience here first. So anyone, if you want to have any question right now, please raise your hand and we're going to pass you the microphone. If not, I'm going to use the question we received online. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Great, so yes, please. Okay, I'm so sorry, Engine. Very sorry. Can I just pass to Ruby first, lady first? she raised her hands.
I would like to know the performance of your products against OpenAI for the ability to summarize long documents on a mobile application. For the second speaker. Yeah.
Awesome. So I'll start with the first part of the question, or maybe I should start with the second part. In a mobile application, a mobile phone, there are some open source large language models that I know you can already run on on your own PC. Our large language models are still on the cloud, so you would need to interact with them via API. You wouldn't be able to put them on your actual mobile phone. That's one thing that I wanted to make clear. Regarding summarization capabilities, so everything around summarizing long textual documents, these are places that we see our model outperform OpenAI. For transcriptions and conversation type of textual of text, there the summarization model itself would work worse than the actual instruct models. Our big models, our new release will also include that type of summarization capabilities as well. But for academic papers, financial reports, things of that sort, our summarization model should be better in quality.
I'm just gonna pop back the microphone to Ruby. Did it answer your question? Okay, cool. Yes. Okay, the second one.
Nathan, a big fan of what Stability AI is doing, and thank you for the open source initiative. One question is regarding the upcoming models that you're releasing. Would they also be open source, or are there other plans in terms of licensing?
So our plan is to open source all of our foundation models. The way that we're doing this right now is to roll them out kind of early access through Amazon. Stable Diffusion XL is only just now nearing the end of training and tweaking and debugging, and there's been some changes in the architecture. So the Stable Diffusion XL that's in Jumpstart right now is not open source yet. It will be pretty soon. We wanted to give people early access to the models that we're building before they're fully finished from our researchers' point of view. I think you can probably expect a lot of our models to arrive in AWS before they arrive open source, but the plan will be to open source all of the foundation models within a month or two after they're kind of early previewed, as long as research doesn't want to keep changing some aspect of it. I do think in the future there might be some sectoral specific or industry specific models that might be in partnership with another party. So that might be including some proprietary data that someone else owns. And those models might not be open sourced, but they will be built on top of an open source foundation.
Cool. Did I answer your question? Perfect. And we have one more. Yes.
Thanks, Nguyen. All right. So this question is for Nathan. Thank you for sharing, and I think Stable Diffusion is making a really great job for the release that open. So you show up the QR code. So we are quick QR.app.
So you may have heard about us in Twitter last few days. So we built on Stable Diffusion 1.5, and we would like to integrate with Excel. So any chance that we can get early access, because we are in AWS already. We build container everything.
Wow.
So I think what we're missing is just how can we access to the early beta of the model. So that's it. We have 60,000 people in last 5 days and growing. So I think there's a good chance.
Okay, that's awesome. I've seen your app. Yeah, the QR codes really exploded recently, and we love to see all of the incredibly creative things that people do. If you can wait just a couple weeks, you'll definitely get access to it via open source. I can give you early access to the model, but we aren't giving the weights themselves away for another couple of weeks, because the amount of legal paperwork to sign, to promise not to leak the weights. If we do that to many people, it takes too long, and someone will publish the weights. And we want to be the ones that actually publish the weights open source in a couple weeks. So I can see if I can do something. I can definitely get you inference access. We have ControlNet T2I adapters for Excel that are custom built. Those aren't released just yet, but if you send me an email, or actually if you contact the event organizers and they can connect us, I can put you in contact with our applied team, because anyway, congrats on an incredibly viral app. I'll do my best to get you the next best thing.
Thanks, Nathan. Yeah, it's really help. We would like we already have a pipeline, but we are keen to migrate that over to your ControlNet model, because I think everything we have, you already have, and on AWS and SageMaker as well, we have it and use that. Thanks.
Congrats. Awesome.
So yeah, cool. And any more questions? Anyone here? I just saw like number. Oh yes, please.
Hi, Nadav. Could you please? Is it okay? Okay. Yeah. Could you please share with us kind of your roadmap for document understanding capability of your models?
Was that from you, for Nathan? I didn't hear.
From you, for you.
For me.
Nadav, yes. Yeah.
And the question was, what is the roadmap?
Yeah, for document understanding capabilities of your models. Yeah.
For document analysis capabilities. Okay, so
understanding.
Document understanding model.
Okay, can you specify what do you mean by document understanding?
Yeah, by that I mean like multi-modalities, not only text but also images and videos on the document.
Oh, okay, got it. So we are strictly text at the moment. We don't have any thing, in the near term for doing other type of Gen AI modalities. We are very good friends with Stability, and we recommend using their image generation models. But yeah, if that answers the question, then
okay, thank you.
Did it answer your questions?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. Okay, so probably just one last questions. Anyone want to ask? Okay, quiet room. Okay, I guess. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
And for Nathan, yeah, for the controllable generative models, do you have plan to release kind of the latent variables for developers to use through API? By latent variables, I mean like with semantic meanings. Yeah.
So do we plan on releasing the full weights and latent space, right, of the control networks for Stable Diffusion XL? the answer to that would be yes. I think every aspect of the stack, like we're planning to open source, because like we didn't build the original control net. The control net was an independent contributor who, because we released Stable Diffusion open source, was able to figure out how to freeze and have different controllable layers on that model. I think you've seen a lot of incredible community contributions and research because we released those weights open source. So the low rank adaptations, all of the kind of really big improvements that have been made by the community were only possible because of open sourcing this stuff. So the goal is definitely to continue releasing all of this open. That's our plan. I can't comment on the exact timelines, but it should be pretty soon because Robin and his team are basically finished with the most recent version. So we're excited to roll that out as soon as possible.
Cool. So we have some question as well online, Nathan and Nadav, but probably because I know it's quite late already for your time, both of you. And I just want to say like, thank you so much for your time to be here today to share your journey inside what you're building, and also to inspire like other company like in Vietnam as well to be able to build something cool and useful with generative AI. So really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And we will try to make 1,000 requests to bring you here. Try. So for now, we're probably gonna move to the tea break right now, everyone. So we're just gonna have a 5 minutes tea and coffee outside, and after that, we're gonna move to the second part of the event today. So the first part we heard from like the foundation model, what they're doing, how they're doing that, and the second one we're gonna hear the sharing from an actual startup, how they leverage on generative AI to do something with their product. We already got Fanboy over here, so yes, come back in 5 minutes, and also we're gonna hear from head of tech from Amazon Web Service to share about like how AWS is doing and how we can support like the startup for their generative AI journey. Okay, 5 minutes. Thank you everyone, and do not just leave. We blocked the door over there already.
hope that you have a great break. Tea and coffee is good, and cake is good too. Meet someone new and also potentially start a new business. Remember AWS, huh? So to kick off the second part of the event today, allow me to introduce our country managers, Eric Yao, to be on the stage and share insight observations around this place.
I hope you guys enjoyed the session earlier. I heard it was very good feedback. First of all, again, right, very exciting to see so many faces. I heard it was, by the way, oversubscribed. Unfortunately, this room could not fit everybody, but I think we have an upcoming session in August. Yeah, August session. Hopefully, we continue this momentum. And then I actually don't have a lot to say, but I just want to kind of give a perspective how we look at Gen AI from AWS standpoint, right? Now, if we kind of look back in how we launched the AWS services, we were the first cloud provider back in 2016. And AWS was formed, some of you probably already know, because of Amazon.com. Amazon.com was, growing massively at a scale. And then Jeff Bezos says, hey, maybe we should look at how we support Amazon.com from scaling bigger. So eventually, from what we were supporting Amazon.com from a cloud standpoint, we realized that, hey, many enterprises out there, startups, SMBs, enterprises could use the services of what Amazon have done. And why don't we set up AWS? And that was how AWS was formed 2016. And if you look at the way we are quite different, is that we're very broad number of services, more than 200 over services, very deep as well for different tools for different use. That's what we believe. The mentor model has always been going broad, more services, wide choice for different use cases and different people to use. And if you look at ML, it's also the same today. We started ML, Amazon.com was using machine learning and AI for all the whole end-to-end transaction. Very, very early days. And if you look at ML today, more than 100,000 customers is already using Amazon AWS ML. And you have customers like BMW, Ferrari, all the racing data and all those things was like way back. Assess foundation model that allow them to actually integrate with the application seamlessly. I think that's one of the problems, which is not so easily available today. 2, security, data protection is a big concern. How do I use my data to run into the base foundation model, and where does the data go? A couple of weeks ago, I was meeting with one of the banks in Vietnam. They were looking for a startup solution. Actually, a lot of startup solution is available using Gen AI to kind of help them to search and produce quality data and information quickly and faster for their internal sales team and the backend office. They found a solution, but one of the challenges they're very concerned is when they use their data, the bank's data, where is it going? How is it secure and how is it protected? So this is probably the challenges today. A lot of great opportunity using Gen AI.
I was involved in the policy summit with the regulators, the government here, State Bank of Vietnam, some of the government agency, and also I was involved in the Industry 4.0. Three key themes come out very strongly that the government, regulators, and enterprises are looking at. One, ethics, social concern, and also sustainability. So AI and all will touch all this. Gen AI will touch these three key areas broadly. I gave a speech and I encouraged the regulators, enterprises and all, and even startups and partners and customers. We need to build a better legal framework to make sure whatever we use from a Gen AI to run and innovate business, these are all being captured. So the government and the regulators and all is certainly looking at this very closely. So last but not least, I think Gen AI will really help a lot of businesses, lots of content, images, new stuff, new ideas. But I will also highly encourage that we also keep in mind those areas of things that we still need to work on, social ethics, sustainability for the long-term progress of Vietnam. All right, so with that, lots of opportunity, but it's still very early. It's still day one, which is why we continue to have all these sessions here. We hope to you guys enjoy the rest of the session, and thank you very much for coming today. Thank you.
Just to summarize what Eric say, you have our word. We're gonna support you no matter what. Right. So and just now, thank you, Eric, for that, for sharing your insight and observations around the generative AI space. For the first part of the event, we go from San Francisco. After that, we go to Israel. And now, allow me to roll back to Vietnam. Allow me to introduce the founder of Ather Labs, Cypher, a gaming studio, and the CEO of Trung Thi Group. I took that from LinkedIn, by the way. I'm sure that you have a Dreamplex here. So what is Cypher? Cypher was born with the pure passion of game and the desire to embrace the blockchain technology to bring our disruptive innovation in gaming and entertainment space. How Cypher and Ather Labs have been in their journey? My personal comment, wow. So they're so ahead. As a result, we're pushing so hard to get Nguyen to be on the stage with us today and share about their journey. So yes, stage is yours.
Hi guys, very excited to be here. Thank you for having me, Laura, Kai, and the AWS team. Today's sharing will be more or less a personal journey of how our studio has come across generative AI and what we found useful about it and how we're actually implementing in our daily kind of like everyday working life. And I hope it's going to be just an open sharing session. I'm no expert in AI, doesn't have a degree in machine learning, not a programmer. I'm just an eager student of what Gen AI has in store for us. So let me start off by going through the slides. Thank you, Laura, for summarizing about our journey. A quick word about Ather Labs. So, we are a gaming and tech studio based here in Vietnam. We have 3 offices in Ho Chi Minh, Da Nang, and Hanoi. Our main office is just about 2 minutes walk from here, just a few floors below Dreamplex. So I think we are very happy to be here and to be sharing about what we're doing in this space. So a quick shameless plug. We have this is our flagship game. It's a multiplayer action RPG called Cypher Odyssey. It's going to be on cross-platform, so mobile, Android, iOS, and PC. It's built using the cutting-edge Unreal Engine 5. And we've been working on this game for more than a year and a half now, and we are very excited to be getting it into close alpha pretty soon. So this is something we've been working on, and a lot of the generative AI stuff has been supporting, the building and the launching of this game, and amongst others. So those of you, can I have a quick temperature check of in the room? Has anyone seen this picture? Okay, quite a bit. Okay, about 70%. Has anyone used, like actually used Midjourney through Discord? Okay, about, okay, 50%. Has anyone used Stable Diffusion Web UI? Okay, about less, 30%. Okay, great. So in case, for those of you who don't know, I mean, this picture is obviously an AI generated image. I wish the real Pope would look like this, but unfortunately, he doesn't. But it's generated by Midjourney, right? So you can see the fidelity and the realism that, you know, Midjourney Gen AI models are able to produce. And just about a year ago, I mean, Midjourney was not able to produce this. I mean, the fidelity has improved drastically in 1 year. So just to show you like how far Gen AI in terms of image has come. And, you know, it's just super exciting to see where it's heading, right? And I have a quick video, sorry, a soundbite here. I'm not sure if the team can play that soundbite. It's part of the deck. So can it play sound, audio or not?
Can you? Okay.
If not, then no worries. Then I just skip, yeah.
Allow us a 10-second line, yeah. Can? Yes, no, maybe? Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. So anyway, it's a generative audio song. It sounds like Jay-Z. It's you know, it's an amazing clip. It's generated by AI. So it shows you that, you know, text to audio has also come a long way when it comes to Gen AI. So back to where we are, right? I mean, why Gen AI? I mean, what's the big deal? Why should we care about it? For us as a business owner, as a game studio, what we worry about is obviously this triangle, right? Of time, cost, and quality. How do we get our product, our marketing message, our game assets, you know, to the market or to to its destination in the quickest amount of time with the lowest amount of cost at the highest amount of quality, right? It's always this triangle dilemma that everyone faces. And I think that, you know, Gen AI in some way support and assist us in solving this problem. So like I said, these are just the 3 main objectives. And then by implementing, you know, AI assisting tools in your workflow, especially in our workflows, we definitely see improvements in these 3 areas. And I'll go across some of the examples. Regarding the market observation, so previously you have 2 speakers, right? And they both worked on what they call foundation models. And foundation models are, you know, like the core, I would say foundation models, right? The core foundations where other models can be fine-tuned upon or can be built upon, and other services can be built upon. And to me, they're in the space in the red, the far right here, or the far left, if you're looking at the screen. Meaning that it requires a lot of resources, a lot of expertise, a lot of money, a lot of compute in order to generate these models, to train these models, and a lot of data sets as well, and then to make it public and make it ready to use. So I don't think, I mean, for us as a startup, it's not a space for us to play in, but something to be aware. And also with those kind of areas, they're meant for something super specialized, right? It's meant for the teams or the people with the data sets in medical data, in imaging, in healthcare, that have like proprietary data that, again, startups like us cannot reach. And thus they are a vertical that we should be aware of, but it's not something that we should aim for, personally for us. What we are looking at this map is something more on the right-hand side here, something more of our daily, everyday use for SME, for startups, for marketing teams, for studios, something that, you know, are of low, I would say low impact or low risk activities. Meaning that if we apply AI in these areas and if something goes wrong, if the model hallucinates, and we use GPT a lot, you know that the model sometimes does not do what it wants, what you want it to do. We will not cause harm, or we will not cause, you know, business like impact, and in fact our, you know, our reputation of the company and so on. So this is where we think that we have the most like flexibility to play in this area, given the current state of models and how controllable they are. The previous speakers did mention about, you know, like trust, right? Authenticity. Whenever the model gives you an answer, you are not sure if it's a good answer, is true, is it factual, or are they hallucinating? And that's the current challenge of models and of applications using AI models. Therefore, to summarize, something that is of less impact, of less needs to be perfectly right or something that is right for us to implement generative AI, in our opinion. So what we made and what we realized throughout our journey of using generative AI is that it's very easy for you or for anyone to go on Midjourney and just basically make an image or a 10 image or 100 image, right? Or use Stable Diffusion. However, things get a bit more complicated when you need to be collaborating with your friends, collaborating with your teamwork, with your coworkers, with your boss, and make sure that everyone is on the same page in a collaborative environment using Gen AI. And that's why we built this product internally. And I just want to showcase with you guys what we built so far, and perhaps it could be helpful to you in your workflow. So our idea is that this product, Adventure, is going to be a multiplayer platform aiming at allowing people to work together when it comes to using generative AI. And our first use case is for text to image. And we, of course, are standing on the shoulders of Stable Diffusion and the large open source community when it comes to Stable Diffusion Web UI and other plugins. And our idea is allow something so seamless, so simple for people to use, to see, to comment, to track, to discuss, and to leverage upon what your team members have done in order to produce more outputs using Gen AI. That's really the spirit of this internal product. So when we look at our game production studio, right, one of our biggest challenge is, of course, the time it takes to produce an asset. An asset here can be, a painting, a character design, a concept art of a character, a costume, a skin, whatever. It takes time. I mean, on average, it takes about 10 to 30 man days for us to create an image when it comes, let's say, for like a hidden object game, right? Something of a casual game maker would know. And that 10 to 30 man days are broken down in the above left corner there. And if you see, that is a lot of time, and time equals cost and also wasted opportunity. So for us, when we apply AI assisted workflow, and the keyword here is assisted, meaning that we still need product manager to be involved, artists to be involved, art director to be involved. Everyone still do their part, but the manual labor of sketching and of painting colors and doing that over like multiple images are now being leveraged by Gen AI. And by doing that, we're able to produce like a massive amount of artwork in just a much more shorter amount of time. And it leads to significant time savings in our studio. It gives our product manager, our artists much more time to explore new concepts, new ideas, and basically it allows us to imagine more. And I think this is one of the power and the true use case of Gen AI in our company. And in order to get this, we use a collection of tools. There's no one tool that can solve this. It has to be a collection of tools, and I'm going to show you, in a bit more detail of how we can use them. So this is a video our team recorded. It's just basically what we built internally. Can we play the video? Is it possible? Oh.
Can you give the access real quick?
Yeah, we can. Can you message Susan and see if she can access? We'll come back to the video. It's a demo of how it works, but I'll come back to it once we get access, okay? So here, just a quick overview of basically the tools that we have to use in order to get this working. As you know, we're standing on the open source community. Those of you who are using the web UI knows that there's a massive open source community on Civitai, right? It's where you download all the amazing models from all different walks of life, all different kind of tastes. You can get models for beautiful Japanese-looking women. You can get models to like anime-style line art. You can get models that are super unsafe for work, and you should not use it during work at all. And of course, you have models for, comics, you have models for product design, architecture. It's all there. I mean, it's a great community and I highly recommend you check it out. So, however, all these models come with, different licenses, right? They all have the different licenses. You have to be sure that what you're using is truly open source and they're commercially licensed, meaning that you can use it in your actual product and you can actually use that as like an asset you can sell for. So what our idea is that we have to curate and manage this properly using our tooling, knowing that, you know, hey, our artists, our team, our PM are using the right models that are safe for us to then release these art assets into production. So that's a key feature that we have to implement and keep in mind. Secondly is training, right? I mentioned earlier about training our own models and how it's important. It's because, you know, every game company have a specific style, right? You have a specific art direction, specific character in your game or in your movie, in your manga, whatever. So on the left here to you guys is one of our character, right? Her name is Alice, for those of you who may or may not know. She's one of the main character in our upcoming game. And those are images that our team created using traditional tools like Blender, Maya, you know, Unreal Engine, or just like Photoshop sketching, painting. And then we take those images and compile them into a data set. And then we fine tune using low rank adaptation, LoRA technique to produce these basically, I would say submodels that allow us to then reproduce our character in a way that will retain a lot of the original design, like the styling, the hair, the look and feel, the proportions and everything. And the way we apply it is that this LoRA model is very small, right? A normal stable diffusion model is about, you know, depending on like 3 to 5 gigabytes in size. And with LoRA models, they're only about, you know, 50 to like 150 megabytes. So they're very, very small. And you're able to basically have a lot of them for different needs, right? You have one for this character, Alice. You have one for me, Tin, to basically, I don't know who would want that, but to basically reproduce image of myself in different, you know, kind of like styles and kind of needs, right? So this is a very powerful thing that, again, the open source community definitely supports. And we allow a way to then track it internally to see, okay, which LoRA model is being used. Is it licensed? Is it our internal model? Can we manage it? Do we lose it? Do we leak it? So these are the type of thing that we implement in-house as well. And then again, how we leverage open source again is that we have these so-called control net that you probably hear our first speaker mention about. And control net essentially is again another model that allows you to freeze what the current model is basically observing or actually generating in the latent space, and then allows you to control essentially the output more correctly. So what you see here, these are poses, right, of any characters that you want, and these are the feeder, the inputs that you put into the program, and it allows you to control the output of the characters. And then again, this character here, this lady with the long hair, is actually one of our own game characters as well, and her name is the Grandmaster. And basically, we're able to combine the two to generate a lot of art assets that are, again, using our character in different settings, in different poses. So it's very, very powerful. Doing this would take an artist many, many days. But using generative AI, using, you know, the web UI, using our own software, we're able to generate, you know, thousands of these overnight. So, I mean, our model in the company right now is we work during the day, let AI work at night. You know, I think that's how we should leverage the system and really, truly become much more productive. Again, just double tapping on this. I mean, there are many ways you can use this technology. You can control it for fashion designers, right? You can ideate very quickly using, again, control net, but also another tool which dynamically swap or updates your prompts based on a few inputs. And the prompt meaning the text that you put into the model. And so you can have different variation, different combinations, and it can go endlessly. And to me, I mean, to our team, this is also a great, you know, research tool. So we don't Google for images anymore, or less so, and we let AI imagine for us what would it be to have a lady in a pea coat in green wearing Christmas outfit, blah, 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 blah. So it's a great imaginary tool that we can control, which is slightly different from Midjourney, because for Midjourney, it's harder to control the exact output that you want. But here, as you can see, she's in the exact same pose, which is very, very important for certain use cases. Again, same thing here. So you have a character and you have a need to have different game assets. Like these can be, like cards for card games, or it can be like achievement unlocks art. And you can generate them very, very easily, very, very quickly, as long as, number one, you train your own LoRa model. And number two, you can use ControlNet. And number three, you can schedule it to work while you sleep. This is one of our upcoming, well, not released yet, but soon to be released character. Is a monkey, and we're ideating on different, outfits, different skins, which is a very important part of game monetization, right? And again, we're able to generate, thousands of these using different keywords that our product team has come up with. What if, he's wearing cyberpunk, vaporware in white with a Santa Claus hat with a pink ponytail, right? All this stuff are all text, very easily written and structured, and then it just iterate over time. And in the morning, you just pick what's best, discuss internally, and then give it to the art team to take it further. So again, it's a very great imaginary tool that supports in your product ideation stage. Splash art. So those of you who play games know that you have really cool waiting screen splash art that while the player is waiting or loading, this kind of thing is shown. And originally, this kind of artwork would have taken us at least 3 weeks for an artist to paint. 3 weeks, and that has to be a pretty decent artist. She or he has to be pretty good. And we're able to do this turnaround in 5 days. So to me, it's a massive saving because now our artists can do way more, or they can work on more important things like concept design, ideation, design, solving problems with the game design team instead of just like painting blue and yellow and black, right? So again, it's a very useful use case there. Again, another concept, another splash art that we made in-house, and this is done within 5 days. Another one. This one actually is special because it's done in 1 day. So what we think can be helpful when it comes to generative AI, or those of you who are thinking of making products, whether internally or externally, is that we think these 4 things are very, very important. Number one is to make sure that collaboration is key. I mean, yes, it's very easy to just spin off Midjourney and make some cool looking image, but does it solve your business need? How does it contribute to the end product? And I think collaboration when it comes to teams and workflows is very, very important. One of the things that we use most in our company is actually, Notion AI, right? Where you can use Notion and then you can use AI inside Notion to then just help you do meeting summaries or task assignment and so on and so forth. So I think collaboration is key, and we definitely want to be doing that. That's why we built a venture. Cloud-based. I mean, thanks to AWS and other cloud providers, it's very easy for teams, just single people to spin up like working. Hello. That's my third mic now. Maybe the event wanted me to stop speaking. Yeah, almost there, guys. Almost finished. So yeah, I think cloud-based is super important because why? It's easy. You can just speed up anytime, and there's no need to invest in expensive GPUs, right? I mean, the images you saw earlier, we are generating it right currently in-house using our own GTX 4090, and those are very, very expensive and also hard to find. But eventually, we want to basically offload all this compute on the cloud, where our team members can just be on a laptop, on the phone, and we just be generating images or generating like text, that they want, that they need. So it's very important to be cloud-based. Plugin. So as you know, the most beautiful thing about the space is the open source community. Stable Diffusion Web UI is a massive unlock when it comes to this movement, and we thank the team for doing that. And we actually also contribute to this community. Our studio released a plugin, fully open source. It's called Agent Scheduler that runs directly together with Stable Diffusion Web UI. So you can go on the GitHub page and download and take it for a spin for yourself. And that plugin, the extension, the idea is to solve what I said, to help you work during the day and AI or Gen AI work for you and Amazon work for you at night. I mean, hopefully that's the idea. So plugins, super important, and I highly recommend you check it out. And lastly is, yes, all this sounds cool, but it's actually quite complicated. It took us quite a while to get this thing to work. I mean, to generate everything from A to Z is impossible, but to get from like say C to like maybe W with AI, it's possible. But it requires skills and knowledge and proven workflows. So how do you do that? Well, I think we have a solution. We should have pre-crafted workflows that are able to be accessible for anyone and any team. And it should be a community effort where people share like, hey, this is my workflow. I do this, step A, step B, step C, all the way to W, right? And then you can use it too. So that's something that we want to be doing, and we want to be offering in the near future. So I think these are the four, propositions I think, any teams building exciting, Gen AI stuff or products should be looking at. And, we want to be one of them. Right. So where is the target audience? I mean, for what I think with Gen AI, when there's a lot of use case everywhere. There's like a billion startups now doing Gen AI. But for us, I think our product Art Adventure, once we release to the public, it'll be more for teams, for individual and businesses, SMEs to collaborate together. So those will be our main target audience, and they'll be in the creative space, the marketing space, game studios for sure, a small architects team that needs like rendering and like image generation for buildings generation and stuff like that. So these are our target audience, and I think that this space can be better served with very specific workflows, like I mentioned, that address their business needs. So that's it. If we cannot get back to the video, can we get to the video?
So while we waiting for this, I just want to summarize a few things. The punchline, right? We work in the daytime. We let AI work at night. I literally is gonna punchline, and this is the only one thing I remember after this event for now. And also, why like when we receive the application, sign up for the events. We received one request is that I came to this event to meet my lifetime idol, Nguyen. Is that fun boy here today? Is that fun boy here today? I'm serious. He put the request. I'm just gonna meet my lifetime idol. So here he is for you. You had 30 seconds to just talk to him. Probably shake hands with him. Yeah. Okay. Why we get a video set up? Can it work? Okay, it work. Okay, can you show that for us?
I mean, those of you who use the web UI is probably very familiar with it, but it's just to show you what we can do using different tools to help in your workflow. So that's the adventure, right? That's the UX. It's a internal product for now. And these are the images all by Gen AI. And this is the Grandmaster character that I mentioned to you about. These are art concept when it comes to like a hidden game object game that we're exploring inside the studio. And the key here is metadata, right? So to generate these images, you need a lot of metadata that comes with it. The prompt, the seed, the weight, CFG, what model is using, what control net using, what is the source of control net images. We track all that. And that by tracking all that, you can combine with Stable Diffusion, and you can basically allow people to then take that image and then remix it, edit it, change it up, and produce a lot more. And then also within our internal plugins in Stable Diffusion itself, we have an API key where all the image you generate here will be automatically uploaded onto our Adventure, which is also a very important feature. And what you're seeing now is the scheduler, the work at night thing, right? I mentioned. So you can schedule a bunch of stuff, give us different priorities, different settings, and then you just run, right? Overnight or until you tell to stop. And the idea is that by doing that, you're able to increase productivity. So again, in the morning, you work with your team, you sync up, you choose images, you choose what you like, discuss, and at night it works for you. So all this ideally should be a seamless process. And of course, chatting, tagging, messaging, like, hey, I like this image, I like this style, I like this model, go ahead, make more, or, like, don't do this, remix something else. So these are the things that we built inside for the company. And I think it's very, very powerful, very, very useful. It saw a lot of increase in productivity, and we would like for you to have the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Such a great presentation. Really appreciate that. Yeah, and then I'm actually a NACO holder, just for the information. So I can't wait to see the game launch. Okay, right. So thank you, Nguyen, for your time today. As you know, like we pushed really hard to get him today. And here is come to the last speaker of our event today. This is what I found on his LinkedIn, and I can't help but using it to describe our speaker. Head of Tech, CTO, Super App, Unicorns, AWS ASEAN. I led initiative to prepare AWS for newer technology and change in the industry landscape. I love to stay on top of the technology advancement to figure out how can we enable the new business model, and I get paid for it. Right. So welcome to be on the stage as a speaker, Girish, and you can share your screen.
Yes, thanks.
And yes, please tell us how to become a unicorn.
Hi. So thanks for coming for this event. Okay. Thank you. So hello everyone who is present in this room as well as online. So a little bit more about my introduction. So in my earlier life, I used to be a machine learning engineer. Paper attention is all you need sparked this revolution. It described the transformer architecture. For the first time, I worked on it in 2018. There was a presentation by me at AWS reInvent. But even when I was so familiar with the technology, nobody could imagine we will reach this far. Okay. So very excited to be here and very excited to be talking to you. Today, we had a lot of great speakers. They mainly addressed the art-related use cases, the gaming-related use cases, text processing use cases. I'm going to focus on a different area. Okay, I'm going to focus on how Gen AI is going to power a lot of enterprise applications, how there is a massive opportunity. And so far, I don't see that startups are focusing on it. And I work with all the chairmen, CEOs, CTOs. I meet like a lot of interesting people in all the countries in Southeast Asia. They want to do it. They don't have local startups or partners to help with it. Okay, so I will share what these guys are up to, and then you can make it your business, right? If you'd like that challenge. But before that, let me share with you a bunch of services that AWS has launched, because I want to make sure that you know about them. Clicker, please work. Yeah. Thank you. So first slide to showcase all the different ways Amazon uses AI for the customers. So Amazon has massive investment in robotics, drone programs, Amazon Pro stores or AI-powered stores, Kindle, recommendation engines, and so on and so forth, right? So Amazon has massive number of people working in this domain. And AWS team, the cloud team, serves the platform or engineering requirements of all these teams. So sorry, Yes. Okay. So this slide showed some of the logos of customers doing their machine learning and AI projects on Amazon. There are more than 100,000 customers who use different Amazon Web Services, AI-related services. So in Amazon, there is the most important principle that we always follow is we start from the customers and work backwards. So many a times we may not be the first in the market, but we listen to a lot of customers and we figure out how to deliver a service or a product in the best possible manner, meeting the maximum number of requirements. So how many of you have tried Jumpstart? Okay. So Jumpstart is a way, we had speakers earlier from Stability, AI Lab and all that. So their models are available on Jumpstart for you to play with. The specialty of Jumpstart is it will create a dedicated endpoint for you. And we are making more and more models available on Jumpstart. Okay. A quick question. What is the current model that is leading the charts on Hugging Face for large language model section? Yeah, it's Falcon, right? Some dispute their claim to be number one and so on and so forth. But, many agree that it is the best model so far. So that model is available on SageMaker Jumpstart as of today. And you will continue to see that a lot of great open source models, which can be used commercially, will be available on SageMaker Jumpstart. The next one is, I'm so sorry. This clicker, I keep pressing back. Okay, the next one is Amazon Bedrock. So a lot of customers, they don't want to have a dedicated endpoint because probably they are not going to use it as efficiently. So they don't want to end up spending too much. So Amazon has announced this service called as Bedrock, which will provide you with large language model, including from Amazon, including from AI Labs, Anthropic, Stability AI, and all of them. In a API-based manner, you just have to make a call and you will get the response and you pay by APIs, right? So the idea is not to force upon you a particular model, but to provide you the full gamut of choice that is possible. Okay. So this is some of the models that have been announced to be available on Bedrock, and for sure there will be many more. Okay. Next one is an area where Amazon is investing heavily. Why large language models are so compute heavy? Okay. So yes, some of you are very technical, so you know it already, but some of you who may not be as technical, these models are auto-regressive. What it means is they emit one word at a time. Okay, and that one word is fed back to the model again, and then the next word is generated. Okay, so if the answer is going to have 100 words, this process is repeated 100 times. Okay, and that makes it very computationally intensive. Plus, these models have more than 100 billion parameters in many cases. Plus, these models consider the context of the question. Right, you might upload like a book to ask questions on it. So each and every word is processed as a part of context. So literally, even for a simple answer, there are trillions of calculations. Okay, that's why these models are so heavy and so expensive to run. So I'm investing a lot in silicon in form of Trainium1 chips for training, Inferentia chips for inferencing. So these chips are already delivering their promise. Again, I went back. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I feel so dumb. Okay. So, so the way Stability has been innovating in the areas of image generation, and they plan to go into video generation and so many other modalities. As of today, Runway probably is recognized the most for AI-generated video. So if you are active on Twitter, you must have seen lots of cool Runway demos. So Runway, they have built a platform on AWS, and what they are powering is AI-powered image editing. Okay, And if you try to edit an image, and if it is going to take like 10 minutes to show you how the video or image is going to look like, probably you are going to get bored of the process. You want to see the result instantaneously. You try to edit a video and instantaneously you see the result, right? So you need inferencing to be very fast. Okay, so that was a challenge that Runway had, and Runway probably has been able to do that in a pretty good manner. So let me show a quick demo from Runway. Video, please. Audio? Is there audio? Yeah, so that's a cool demo by Runway. So I'm just reiterating the point that if you need this kind of a product which is powered by AI based on text editing and all that, and if it needs to work in real time, you have to very carefully design your inferencing pipeline. Yeah, sorry, some technical issue. Yeah. The next one is Code Whisperer. So, you know, if you write code yourself, there are a lot of coding tools backed by AI, like GitHub Copilot, which is great. Then there is a Replit Ghostwriter, which is great. Amazon has their own variation called as Amazon Code Whisperer. And the beauty of Code Whisperer is that it helps you not just generate the code, it also helps you, I'm so sorry. Okay, it also helps you to scan the code, okay, for vulnerabilities. It also helps you identify the code that resembles open source code. So sometimes these models are able to recommend you pieces of code which may be from somebody else's licensed code. Does that make sense? So that opens you for all the kind of legal vulnerabilities. So Code Whisperer is able to advise you about a sample code, but at the same time, it can tell you which GitHub library it was inspired from and what was the license for that library, right? So it's a very interesting way of putting this service for use by developers. Please explore it. Okay. Next one is foundation model training or foundational model training. A lot of people are doing it on AWS. So for example, Stable Diffusion, they trained their largest text-to-image model on AWS. They used 4,000 A100 GPUs to train the model. Likewise, 21 Labs, they trained their Jurassic 1. As the name suggests, it's a really, really large language model with 178 billion parameters. Hugging Face does a lot of their experimentation on top of AWS. Falcon was trained on AWS. So Falcon is really large. It's, I think, 70 or 80 billion parameters. That team has announced another model with 200 billion parameters that is also being on AWS with the support of AWS engineering team. Okay, so now probably the most important thing that I wanted to talk to you about is opportunities, right? Where we see opportunities where startups can add value, and we don't see as many startups doing it. Probably we are not in touch with startups who are doing it, but regardless, this is like a massive opportunity. Okay. So language is the most universal interface. Okay. And like Tell me, how many of you love the experience of using your banking app and checking why the balance this month is low? How beautiful is that experience? Okay, like I travel a lot and I get really horrible, exorbitant bills. Thanks to Amazon for paying them, but I still get like really big bills. And I want to ask my bill why my bill is so much. And my bill has like hundreds of entries. Okay, and that experience is not at all pleasant. Okay, and because of that experience, so the mistakes are all mine because I use my phone on roaming and whatnot, right? But I end up taking out that frustration on my telco, and I generally say a lot of bad things about them, right? It's not their fault, but it does happen. So most of the apps that are run by the largest businesses in all the countries across the world, not just in Southeast Asia, they have really crappy UIs, to put it bluntly, okay? So conversational UI can make your UIs very, very soothing, very, very interesting, a kind of experience that people will love. Okay. Another question for you, right? Like consider like 10 banks or 3 banks, right? How many differentiated are their products from one another? They're pretty much the same. They're pretty much the same, right? So this is an area, the conversational UI is an area where a lot of innovation is going to happen. And people who are going to do that innovation, they are going to have an edge, because if not anything else, their UIs are going to be far more friendlier for their users. And this is a big opportunity for all the new banks that are coming, that are cloud-only banks, because they have a big challenge to differentiate themselves from existing traditional banks. So let me show you an example. So all these images you are seeing today, they are AI generated. Okay. So this is a demo by my friend Kenton. So he set out to build a system using open source software, AWS services, and a great service from our partner Anthropic. So the idea is to have an AI assistant that will allow you to talk to your bank. And this assistant does not assume any kind of questions from you. It figures out how to extract information in the real time in response to your question, right? So you might have n number of questions, right? Why my balance is low? Are there subscriptions that I am paying and that I am not aware of? Like it so happened in 1 month, I went to scan my bill, and I realized I had 4 or 5 subscriptions that I wasn't using at all. And I was like paying $10, $15, not a big amount, but I was still paying those amounts needlessly, right? So you might have n number of questions that could be answered with a conversational UI. So I'm going to show you this demo. It is going to run for 2 minutes. I'm going to keep my mouth shut because Kenton talks and talks. I have sped up his conversation. Yeah, you will see. And again, this is not a colorful, flashy demo, but it is a very attractive way for enabling banking apps. So could be done with insurance, finance, and other investment apps. Oh, there is no audio. Okay, please mute it. I will explain what is happening on the screen. Okay, please mute it. I will explain what is happening. Okay, so basically what this app is doing is it is developed using LangChain. Okay, it receives the question, it figures out how the question could be answered, whether it needs to connect to the core banking system and get the information from the core banking system, whether it needs to be connected to CRM, because not every question's answer is in core banking system. Okay, or it just needs to look into the knowledge database, right? So this system is able to figure it out in the runtime, and it is able to answer the question. I will not spend more time on this demo because voice is not there, but you get the idea. So all the banks want to do, or if you show them this is possible, they would want to do, right? But today it is not easy to do. The next one is customer service. Okay. So customer service is a big area of differentiation for most companies. One of the reasons Amazon became so big, so successful is because of the trust while they ordered their products from Amazon, right? You could order an iPhone and you can be 100% sure that such an expensive product will be delivered to you successfully, right? So customer service is an extremely valuable area, and customer service as of today is an area where like 90% companies don't think that they're doing such a good job because it is extremely expensive. And even after spending a lot of money, you can't be sure that you are treating your customers really well. Okay. So here is an example, and I'm really sorry for people who are sitting in the back, right? So this is an example of real life use cases. I have removed all the personally identifiable details. There are no personally identifiable details here. So a customer is rambling about what their problem is, right? So every customer will provide different level of information. They might be rambling, repeating things, so on and so forth, right? If you want to be able to figure out exactly what the customer is saying, you need to read them like really, really carefully. And because of that, in most of the customer services operations, a customer service rep can't handle more than 3 to 4 cases per hour. And that's really expensive. That's really expensive, right? So these tools can help you cut down the cost of customer service. And a lot of enterprises are looking for those kind of tools. And that's a big opportunity for local startups to develop. Yeah. The next one, yeah, Gen AI helps to create that sweet feeling of being understood. Because many a times when I write to my telco, when I'm frustrated with my bill, most of the times I get answers for the questions that I didn't ask. They don't understand what I'm asking, right? So the current generation of technology, be it from Anthropic, be it from, AI 21 Labs, it helps you exactly understand what is going wrong. Okay. The next one is powering the knowledge workers. So these people are one of the biggest cost item for most of the companies, like all the managers and sales associates, so on and so forth, right? So you can enable them and you can empower them to make good decisions, right? So we must have seen these great demos by Office Copilot and all, which are really great products. But what most of the people need is a conversational UI that interfaces with Salesforce, that interfaces with core banking, insurance, logistics system, and like 100 other types of systems that companies use, right? So that's a big space for development where startups can add a lot of values. So this is another demo. This is for people who are in the business of paying invoices after reviewing them. So this is like a very simple UI which uses conversational AI to connect to your internal systems and process the invoice. Again, for whatever reason, the audio is not working. So I will just let the video run. You can imagine, how conversational UI can enable different types of workers. Sorry about this technical problem. I should have tested. I'm really sorry about that. The last but not least is software development. So this advantage is obvious. We highly encourage you to take a look at, Code Whisperer. It's free of cost, by the way. So you don't even have to think or sign up about it, sign up for it. And it's a pretty good product because it has differentiated features that will help you avoid legal troubles as well as obvious bugs. Now I'm coming towards the last section of presentation. This is open source innovation. So we had speakers from Stability, and you spoke about how you are taking advantage of all the open source technologies to create great products, right? So open source is flourishing. So there are going to be some areas where only the largest of the corporations are going to be able to provide you models for, right? Areas where you need really, really complex reasoning. Okay. But there are many, many areas where you don't need the most cutting edge models. Okay. In fact, using the largest models can be counterproductive. Like, tell me, right? Do you take truck to your office? Do you drive truck to your office? You don't, right? You drive a bike or a car, right? So having the largest models is not the wisest choice for many, many use cases. Right? So this is from Llama adapter demo that is hosted on Hugging Face. So this is a funny image of a dog, right? I asked this model the question, explain why this image is funny, right? And this is one of the questions that is really hard to answer, okay? Because to understand humor, you need to understand what is normal to expect, what is abnormal, right? You need to understand a lot of context to be able to tell why something is humorous, right? And this model, it describes why this image is funny perfectly well. And this is an open source model, right? So let me read it out for you. What it says is, the image is funny because it depicts a small dog, likely a pug, wearing a blanket or a towel, which is not typical attire for dogs. Dogs are usually seen wearing collars, leashes, and other accessories, but not a blanket. Okay, the dog's unusual attire and the fact that it is sitting on the ground in a park or a wooded area adds to the humor of the scene. Dog's expression, now look at the dog's expression. Dog's expression, which appear to be a mix of confusion and amusement, further enhance the comical nature of the image. How? Okay, so AI is improving really, really rapidly. With open source AI though. Yes. Sorry? Yes. I get it. But it's pretty close. Yes. Okay. So another great example that I want to share. Okay, my only second mic. Okay. Another great example. So you must have seen that demo from Instacart, AI search. So you can describe what you are trying to do, like you are trying to have like a barbecue party, and Instacart will connect to OpenAI and figure out what ingredients you need, and it will add them automatically to the basket. I said, I don't want to spend money on an external model that introduces latency, and if it is down, my app is going to down. I will ask an open source model about what ingredients are needed for a barbecue party. In fact, I just uploaded an image of barbecue chicken, right? And I asked the model to figure out all the ingredients. Okay. Now this answer is like really long. I'm not going to read it out for you. The reason it is long is because it literally figured out each and every ingredient that is required. It even told me how to grill it or fry it, and I might need those devices as well, right? So the point I'm trying to make is open source AI is developing rapidly. Not like we need far more examples or need to look beyond what stability is doing, but I'm giving these additional examples. But what is the problem with open source AI? A big problem with a lot of open source AI or limitation. Okay, so the limitation is a lot of them have licenses that don't permit commercial use. Okay, some of them don't, but most of them have licenses that don't permit commercial use, right? What we suggest you is to take ideas from those projects and use models that permit commercial use, and use those models to implement those ideas. So let me just jump onto the next screen and come back to these screens a little later. Okay, so at AWS, we are committed to making best-in-class open source AI accessible to the customers and the models that are commercially usable. Okay, so for example, Falcon is the largest leading open source language model that is commercially usable. You can use it for any kind of commercial application that is available on SageMaker Jumpstart. And somebody asked a question about multimodal AI, right? So there are a lot of patterns being published for multimodal AI. So if you have studied this open source project called as Mini GPT-4 or Lava, okay, their architectures are really, really simple. So what these guys do is they use a language encoder, they use a vision encoder off the shelf, for example, VIT, and they train only a projection or mapping layer, which allows you to convert vision information to language embedding space. Okay, and this allows you to do reasoning with images. Okay, so it is not very hard to do. We highly encourage you to study these kind of projects and replace the components that don't permit commercial use and replace them with something that permits commercial use. For example, Lava uses, LLMA, Facebook Llama for language decoding, okay, which doesn't permit commercial use. You just replace it with Falcon, okay. So a lot of great things are possible with open source AI. You just need to be smart about it. I've been told I'm out of time, so I will skip this. So this is another use case where, Facebook segment anything was customized to identify brain tumor and things like that. And these guys are using a LoRa adapter just the way you guys do, right? So a lot of things are happening and we are committed to bring choice to you. Okay, the widest range of choice that is available anywhere. I'm very afraid of my colleagues. So I have a bunch of slides. We will share this presentation. So I will end my presentation here. Thank you very much for your interest and attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Iris. We don't try to keep you stressed. It's just that we have so many questions. So if I may, allow me to invite Antin and Girish both on the stage since we are at the event today. So probably we're going to have a few questions and make sure the audience at homes or somewhere you join virtually, you can see us. And it's just like to summarize what Girish just shared with us, right? And also Antin shared as well. If you are a startup right now or just any venture and you don't know how to start on your generative AI, try with the open source model. There's so many models available right now that you can test this out. You can try with that. If you need some help with the mental model, please reach out. And also with the generative AI, it's going to open so many opportunities for the startup, venture, SMB to improve the productivity as well. Right. So maybe, Girish, you want to sit in the middle?
Anywhere.
Oh, I can sit in the middle. I don't mind. Yeah. Okay, sure. This is the best part of the day. So we're gonna have 10 minutes of the Q&A at max. I already received the question here, but as always, what I always gonna do is that I'm gonna give the stage back to you first. If you have any question right now, please raise your hand. Okay, already. And then after that, I'm gonna go with some question online that we received from the audience. Yeah. So do you wanna start first? Teams, can I please get a microphone to him, please? Okay. Or you can just take mine.
So my question is for everyone here, but I would like to listen from Mr. Tin, from his own kind of venture. So you guys know that AI generated artifacts are not copyright protected, at least in the US. So how does that affect your business? Thank you.
Yeah, I think the issue with licensing is still kind of like in a gray area. We follow this very closely in certain countries, like Japan, for example, where now they're leaning towards like making sure that, again, it's not legal advice, not a lawyer, but they're leaning towards that it's possible to train using, images, and it's totally okay for AI models to learn from images, from text. So I think that's one of the space where I think eventually we'll see more open source model that are commercially licensed and that we can use. With regards to artifacts, I think what you're talking about is that the output have some certain artifacts that could be IP related or infringement. And I think the answer for us from an image perspective is that we call it AI assisted for a reason, is that the human touch or the human input is always very important. We have to make sure that it doesn't include any kind of like artifacts that when it comes to image that might cause infringement. And all the data sets that we use for LoRa training is our own data sets, like our own character, our own design, our own art. And that's how we think we can leverage this model properly.
I would like to clarify, artifact means the output, the product made by AI. So it's not copyright protected because it's generated by AI. It doesn't mean that some copyright infringement, even if you train on your own data, but if it's generated by AI, it's not copyrighted.
Yeah. So I don't have the legal answer because I have a legal team, but I'm not a lawyer. But from what I've learned and follow from Twitter in the US, what they are trying to pass through is that for the image that you're generating using AI, but it's your design, if there's significant human input in the process, then it is copyrightable. If there's no significant input, or there's a funny, like, anyone read Doraemon here? You know Doraemon? Yeah. So there's a very funny meme, right? Where in Doraemon, you just, the main character just said, make me an awesome comic. And then the AI in the comic, in Doraemon, makes the comic. And it's definitely not copyrightable because, again, according to the US or this lawyer, there's no significant human input. It's only one click or a few text prompts. So that is considered not copyrightable. But for other process where, you know, we design a character by ourselves, we come up with the whole story, the whole world building, the whole narrative, the whole game, then whatever art that we're making, that character is definitely copyrightable, as far as my understanding goes, and, you know, our legal team tell me. So I hope that can answer your question. And of course, please seek your own legal advice before you do anything there.
Yeah. So put aside the copyright issues. Let's just assume that we cannot copyright our AI generated or assisted contents. So any ideas, any insights for your business that you can share with us?
I think when it comes to copywriting, I mean, people always say like, hey, you know, the ownership of the copyright of an image or a game character, in my case, is important. But actually, if other people use my game character to make comics or fan art, I love it. I think the core problem is, will that product make my actual full feature game more fun, more engaging, more exciting? And I think that's where we make the money, not whether like, oh, I can trademark that character and hopefully, you know, we can make money off it. So to me, it's the actual end product, the game in our case, is more important than the, you know, one or two art assets that we do. And with that said, though, that's a big assumption whether it's copyrightable or not. I, in my opinion, think that if there's significant human brain input, then it's copyrightable. The AI just assists in a part of it. It's like saying when you use, let's say, an open source, you know, model like Llama, Falcon, for example, to help you maybe code, help you assist you in coding. Will your code then not be copyrightable, right? I mean, that's something. Is still up for debate, right?
Yeah, that's I think a reasonable answer, and the jury is still out, and there are a lot of companies that are taking actions on their own. For example, if you try to upload fake Drake songs to Apple Music, right, they will reject them, right? So there are a lot of content aggregators, they don't support AI generated content at this stage. And in fact, there is also an argument that it does not violate any of the laws, at least in the US, right? But the platforms are rejecting that content because they don't want the original creators to dump the platform. For example, if you build a Taylor Swift voice and build Taylor Swift music and you upload to a service where Taylor Swift is, she won't work with your platform, right? She can remove her content. So a lot of gatekeeping is happening, and that is good. But yeah, we don't know yet. Like, everyone is confused. One of the reasons people are a little bit apprehensive with talking openly about their data sets or even sharing their data sets is they're afraid that they might have accidentally used some copyrighted material and all that. So it's a very, very complex legal situation. Hopefully we'll get more clarity. But as he said, that's a reasonable standard, right? If there is a significant human input in creating that piece of software or art, then it should be honored.
Yeah, so I think just like to summarize, remember that of generative AI is just all about technology. Depending on how you use that is up to you, I guess. Right? It's actually, we receive a lot of questions like that as well. And you know, like most of the time we will hear the founders say, we use that as an assistant and for a better purpose. It's not like to, you know, like eliminate 81 and so on. But thank you for the question though. And the next gentleman, yes, okay. Right. So he has the power to give to anyone. But I'm just gonna pass the microphone to you in a bit. Yes, please.
Hi, Ethan. As a former hardcore, I guess current hardcore gamer, and now building a game lab yourself, I'm curious to see or understand your thoughts on how you think AI might unlock other things beyond production and monetization, especially around gameplay. What do you get excited about?
Yeah, thanks for that question. I mean, I'm personally super excited about open source text, our language model. I mean, if you're familiar with open source place, I think GPT-3 a couple of years back was being favored a lot by the text adventure community, the people who plays like text-based adventure games. And I think a lot of training data for GPT 3.5 and future, I'm just speculating here, but we're generating from that community as well. So where I see Gen AI in text will lead games, I imagine we will have a very emergent game design, amazing NPCs who are so interactive and so unique to each and every player. So what I did a quick experiment with the team is that using Poe. Anyone use Poe? Poe, the chat app? Yeah, a couple. So please go use Poe. It's super exciting. In Poe, you can create your own chatbot. So what I did was I create a chatbot, and you can feed a system prompt to Poe chatbot to customize that chatbot to do specific things. And what I did was you only have 2,000 characters, if I'm not wrong. And I basically used that limitation to create a text-based adventure with a fictional character named Teresa, right? So then you have a link. You just I pass it around in the office, and people was playing that game with Teresa, traveling with her to different worlds. Some to like some imaginary like sci-fi dystopian universe. Some goes to like Disney Fantasyland, and they all have an amazing time, and following the rules that I put into that 2,000 words prompt. Meaning that with Gen AI for text, now you can really unlock like imagination from your players, and then have the NPC or the game storyteller to interact with that. And I think that's super exciting. And remember, 2,000 words. And now with what GPT 3.5 and 4 is opening up to, was it 18K or 14K and 32K like tokens? That's what, 25,000 words. You can basically put the entire like Dungeons and Dragons kind of rule book inside that prompt, right? And then you have a game, a text-based game, a game master that can be super customizable and super flexible. And I think you will see a lot more of that in the coming years. And last point is combining text with image, right? We have an internal prototype where we have, again, a fictional character who talk to you, and she will send you images of where she is in her fictional world, and you can interact with that. And again, that's already doable. And I imagine, a lot of the otakus or a lot of the Japanese fans, love that kind of gameplay as well. So I think the future for gaming has never been more exciting with Gen AI, and I think we want to play a part in that and try to use it where we can. I hope that answered your question.
I hope it's answered your question too. And Girish, do you want to give your view about that as well?
Yes. So I don't understand gaming as much as most of the people in this room, and I'm embarrassed by it. But that is what it is. But there is another area that I am very passionate about. That is VR and AR design, not for gaming purposes, but just for the sake of it, right? So VR and AR uses so much AI that people are not even aware of that. So for example, if you want to figure out where to put an object in a room, you need to understand the 3D structure of the room. You need to understand exactly where are the surfaces, what is the relative size of various objects and all, right? So you can of course use LiDARs and all, and they tend to be expensive. Okay, but now it is possible with help of AI and AI alone, without using specific sensors, just on the basis of images, you are able to figure out the structure of the room, the nature of the surfaces, so on and so forth. So AR and VR is going to be very exciting in coming days. The other thing that is going to happen, this is said by NVIDIA CEO Jason Chen, that like advanced games, they use a lot of rendering, which is done in real time, and real time rendering is not as impressive as batch when computers work for you overnight, right? But now with AI, rather than doing ray tracing, with AI you will be able to figure out how light and different kind of objects will impact the ambient light in a room, right? And it can be done in much fewer steps compared to ray tracing. So I hope to see AR and VR, which is extremely reliable, right, which is lifelike. And I also hope to see games that are ultra realistic, even with limited GPU power.
Cool. So he just opened a new horizon for you. You asked about Gen AI, he gave an AI VR as well. So I hope that it satisfies your questions. And we probably just gonna have time for 2 more questions. So I'll give you one. Sorry, I'm gonna direct it here because so just one more question, and I promise that we're gonna take your question offline. And then we had one question for the audience online. Is that okay? Oh, is it okay? So Girish gonna take your question no matter what, even he had to stay here after 5. Yeah. So stay with it a little bit. Yes, please.
So hello, I'm audible.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, we can hear you.
So thank you for organizing this. I'm very grateful for what you all brought, and it was such a deep understanding for me this moment, decoding generative AI. So actually, I'm working in a center that promotes emotional intelligence for children, and I have an idea to create a book, but to create stories for book, to create stories in a book. And I just would like to ask your advice where to start if I would like to create images, like cute images for children to illustrate these books, because it's very vast emotional intelligence, So these are my question, and I have just a small question for you. When you were presenting the llama things to decode why is it humor, this image, my question is where the data is coming from of analyzing like the face of the dog. How is it possible to analyze like, okay, the dog seems confused, or the dog seems this kind of characters, So I'm wondering, where did you find those data? Because it's really ask a lot of emotional intelligence to know that, okay, this dog seems confused really. So I was wondering how those people, I don't know, this team, how they found it. So in fact, I have 2 questions. So my first question is asking advice about where to begin to create a book, and maybe I can give you more detail. It's like real life stories. We have already the stories about.
So if I may summarize, right, you have like 2 questions. I assume that it's gonna involve with your business. Just our curiosity. One is that if you want to start something, like for example, your case is book, what is the mental model? Where can you start with that, right? The first one. And the second one is a little bit involved with the, that part. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. So it's actually one of the questions we want to ask online. So perfect. Yes, please.
So thank you for the question. There's a very famous Twitter thread. You can look it up where a guy he detailed all his steps in making a children's book using Gen AI. And in that Twitter thread, he was using Midjourney. So my question for you is, if you are very specific about your character in that book, meaning that the same character must be consistent and appear at every page, every chapter from the beginning to end, then the ideal steps would be 3 things. Number 1, get a lot of data sets of that character. You can use Midjourney or Stable Diffusion to generate a lot of the same, let's say a boy with yellow hair, Caucasian, right? and have the same looking characters enough, maybe 40 to 50 images, that you then can train a LoRa of that character. And you can name him Tim, for example, right? That's step one. Step two, using that LoRa, you can use an open source stable diffusion model to then generate a lot of scenes on your storybook of Tim doing various things, depending on your story. And you feed your story in the prompt. That's step number two. And step number three, like I said, you still need a human, an artist, to take a look at like hundreds of images that you generated and just polish it, tweak it, change it to breathe the human touch into your art and your story. And then you have it. It's actually not very hard. And if you need help, maybe we can help. But yeah, I think it's definitely doable. Yeah.
And just to clarify what he said, LoRa there and LoRa here's two different versions. Yeah, because since Gen AI start, like everyone start talking about LoRa. Well, yeah. Yeah.
LoRa, low rank adaptation training of model.
Yeah. So just to clarify, but thank you. Yes, Girish.
Yeah. So you asked a very interesting question. So multimodal AI is an area where we are going to see phenomenal applications, and it turns out while certain edge use cases are hard, it is actually much simpler than what people thought it would be, right? So it all started with this model DALI, right? Particularly DALI E2. Okay, so that model uses an architecture called as CLIP. Okay, so CLIP has two parts. One is image encoder, and second is text encoder. Okay. So what they did is they downloaded a lot of images from the internet which had captions. Okay, so where do you get that data? You go to any news website, there is an image, and then there is like one line or two line description of that image, right? You go to so many sources, you can get images with some descriptions of it. Okay, so they got like, I think 11 million or 12 million images, and they trained a vision encoder and text encoder parallelly, okay, using something called as contrastive training. So what it means is, if you have a picture of a confused dog, and if you have this in English, confused dog, okay, both text and image, they will be mapped to the same embedding or same representational space. Okay, so this idea of multimodal came from it, and one of the reasons it works is because these models were trained with captioned images. Okay, so the model had seen like a lot of dogs that are happy, unhappy, confused, so on and so forth, right? So people have been, CLIP is not open source, but there is something called as OpenClip, which open source implementation of CLIP, right? So what people did next is they just took the vision part of OpenClip and they then combined with like a general purpose language model. And now that vision model is very easily able to translate the situation in embeddings that are very close to the text embeddings. So it's a little bit more technical, but there are a lot of well-documented sources about how to implement it. There are a lot of open source notebooks. If you have interest, I will share links with you. Yeah?
Yeah, with pleasure. Because in the class we give about emotional intelligence, we told the kids how to discern the emotion of people, and it's not easy. So it's not easy because they don't have the codes. Even for us adults, we somehow we have difficulties also to know, okay, maybe this person has a percentage of sadness or anger or subtle anger, or very hard. And this is what we do also.
So that is one of the skills that we acquire as we grow up, but not everyone is biologically equipped to do that. Some are at a disadvantage, and that's a very hard area. But the beauty of AI is if you give it large enough amount of data, it is able to figure out patterns that even we are consciously not aware that we know those patterns.
Yeah, and the trick probably just like keep in touch and then share with us more of your use case. I'm so sorry. He's have been waiting for a while, so if you don't mind, I'm just gonna pass them.
Sure. I just added to the answer for him.
Okay,
for
yeah,
the sake of,
okay.
Better understanding. Basically, we have kind of embeddings or representations of the dog, of the scene and the text. But then we have kind of common sense reasoning, like given such kind of descriptions, anything like goes very strange compared to the common sense, and then that's the point where the system picks out something like salient to explain. Yeah, just to add. Yeah.
So all these things are open source. It is very easy to customize. Just make sure if you want to productionize that every component that you are going to use is permitted for commercial use. Thanks.
Remember, you are QR code creator, so that is what he keeps saying. Yes.
Thanks for remember me. I'm not talking about QR code. I'm talking about startup. So I think in April, Amazon was recruiting 10 startups for generative AI accelerator in the US. I applied and I think I fell. Yeah, but there's 1,200 people apply and we felt that. So my question is, are you going to reactivate that soon for Southeast Asia? And comparing to Google. So I think in May, Google was announcing the AI first, and they are committing to 300K credit. Actually, I apply, and I think after 6 weeks, there's no feedback. They have very long queue. But I'm just wondering, AWS is going to propose some kind of the same that we can take advantage of. And to my story, I have thankful for AWS because of your generosity for giving us the activate 25K. It's really helped us to get burning. So Kian know that. So we get burning a week ago, and a lot of money have been burned, but AWS sponsored that. So we are running on AWS credit right now. So I think that is really helpful, and we hope that we can get more. And my second question is about the Amazon Bedrock, because we launched and we didn't seeking for the business user, but they come to us. So we have around 40 people. And my question is, what is the entrance rate to go into the Bedrock? Yeah.
What is?
Bedrock, I mean, what is the entrance criteria to go into that Bedrock?
Okay.
So allow me to take this question because I really need to take it, right? So congratulations, your wish come true, because we're gonna launch the ASEAN's Gen AI Accelerator very soon. Yay! So today is the day that we're gonna inform that, right? So actually we wanna wait at the end of the section so that we can inform that. You are totally right. Yes, we launched the accelerator in like globally. However, we figure out that like each region's the localization is is needed and also is different. That's why we decided to launch the accelerator in Vietnam and Singapore first as a kick-off activity, but for ASEAN. So I expect that I'm gonna see your application very soon. Is that a question you asked? Yeah. Okay. So that is the first one, and I really excited for that. Can't wait. Seeing your question, so just inform here. And the next part, I'm probably gonna pass back to Girish, so you can answer.
Yeah. I have early access to Bedrock, and that product is turning out really well. The only thing is they are granting staggered access. At one point, it will be generally available, but at this point of time, you have to describe what is your use case, and if they, that's not in our control. But if they think that your use case is enough, they will definitely grant it. They have granted at least 30-40 customers access in Southeast Asia. So it shouldn't be that hard. Just you need to have who is your account manager, speak to them. They can help you get access. And not very long from now, it will be generally accessible anyway.
You see, thank you. Okay, that's it.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So I wish that we had more time. I really do. And I wish that, we had more section like that. But since the time has come, so I probably just want to thank the speaker for your time being here today. We actually overrun 30 minutes. But I think it's a good deal, right? And yeah, thank you for your time today. For our speaker for our audience join online. Thank you for spending time with us. And also just very quick. Yes, take your photo as well. And I probably want to give 1 or 2 minutes to thank the team behind the scenes. So AWS startup team, we got Eric is our country manager. He spent time here today. We got Kai Yong, he's at the back. He's our Development Manager, Nhật and Nhật and Kian. They are our solution architect based in the country. If you have any question, please reach out to them as well. And also Tech P teams, Unfold Story and Review. They actually spend a lot of effort, like send invitation. I'm sure you received the email from them as well. And broadcasted on QuickCom. And special thanks to Ather. Not sure if they're here today, but they arrange all the logistics for the event. And with that, I really appreciate your time here. And let's take a picture together, right? Okay. So can everyone come to this side, please? So who is the anh Tín Nguyễn fanboy? You can reveal yourself right now.